Place your mold over a smaller raised surface if using the exterior. This step is not necessary for interior molds where the clay is pressed into, not onto. Next, drape the smooth side of the slab over the mold. I am cutting V-darts to get rid of the rippling. I then slip and score the two pieces together. I prefer to use an x-acto knife, but a fettling knife will work too. Pat or roll with a mini rolling pin the slab over the mold. This is so the slab takes the shape of the plaster mold. Depending on the size of your slab and the plasticity of the clay, you may have to repeatedly pat and dart the clay. If possible, flip the mold over in your hand carefully to see what areas will need to be trimmed off. Put the mold back over the raised surface. Slowly and carefully trim the hanging excess off with an x-acto knife or fettling knife. Don't worry about unevenness, as we will fix this at the end. The trimming is why the mold needs the raised surface. Be very careful to not cut into the plaster. Plaster should never be embedded into the clay. To smooth out the surface from canvas and dart marks, scrape the serrated rib in multiple directions. Periodically clean the clay buildup off the rib so clay boogers are not left behind. Then smooth the ridges out with a flexible, smooth rib. Plastic or metal works fine. The next step is to add a foot to the bottom of the bowl. If your mold has a flat bottom, feet are optional but recommended as they add greater stability and prevent warping. Score a ring where the foot will go. Add slip to the score ring. Roll a coil out and score that too. Compress the coil score to score so it attaches well. Score the overlap before finishing the coil foot. Take the mold and bowl and tap the foot on the table to flatten it out. Clean up seams, but more finessing will happen when the clay is stiffer. Oftentimes, fussing with very plastic clay can backfire with more marks. Roll a thin coil out for the outer foot seam. Score the corner seam and the coil. Compress the coil into the seam and then smooth the coil into the bowl and the foot. Once leather hard, gently wiggle the bowl off the mold. Move the mold aside for now. Now we see the return of the dart seams. Use the serrated rib and score in the opposite direction of the dart seam. Smooth out the score marks by moving the smooth rib in the opposite direction. Bisque and plaster molds do not need mold release. Plastic and metal molds will need a release like Murphy's soap or WD-40. Using mold release on plaster molds will degrade them over time and lead to really funky smells. Transfer the bowl to a banding wheel. Take an x-acto knife or a needle tool in one hand and brace against the worktop. Gently hold against the bowl at the same point while spinning the banding wheel. When the mark is finished and connects evenly, cut with the x-acto or fettling knife to create a new rim. Soften the new rim with a damp chamois. Continue until the rim is as rounded as you desire. Now, the most important step is cleaning the mold. Use a damp sponge and wipe the clay residue off. This leaves the mold clean for the next student.